Well, hey there, audit and fraud friends and family. Listen, let me ask you a question. Have you ever had a company credit card? And if you have, what's the most unusual thing you've ever been allowed to expense? I've heard stories of people who have gotten to book first class trips because they were flying 20 hours overseas for companies. But I think everybody has a story, right? Whether it was an airport meal, maybe every once in a while they allowed you to purchase alcohol, or maybe they let you get the luxury suite in the hotel. What's the one thing that you've been allowed to expense that's been a little crazy? Because today's story, well, it made me realize that the line between allowable and non-allowable, it can move fairly quickly and it's not always logical. So, like I say every week, you are going to want to tune in to today's story because, well, let's just say it's another crazy one, just like every other week. So, are you ready? Let's go.
Welcome to the Friday Fraudster podcast. Join them as they discuss sad, funny, and sometimes disturbing fraud stories. Be sure to catch past episodes on your favorite podcasting platform or go to www.fridayfraudster.com.
All right, so you heard my opening question. Have you ever had a corporate card? And what's the strangest thing that you've been allowed to expense on your corporate card? Now, I can tell you, personally, I remember one time I was allowed to purchase a first class ticket on my card. I forgot the reason why, but they went through some mumbo jumbo about, hey, the corporate card, he can purchase first class because of the length of the flight. It was a long flight, and they said, we want him flying first class. It's like, okay, cool. So that's my question. Let me know what you think. And without further ado, today we've got
Hey,
Thomas.
what's going on, everybody?
Hey man, so corporate card, strangest thing you've ever been allowed to expense or seen expensed.
So I've never had a corporate card, but the strangest experience that I had one time actually was in Argentina, and we're there. We're doing an internal audit, and the Friday that we're there, we as soon as we show up at the office, we can smell what's cooking. Literally, there's one guy. His job on Fridays is to get the grill out and just fill it with every kind of meat you can imagine, and he's grilling all morning. So lunchtime, which I think is like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, they bring out this massive spread. Everybody's walking in, everybody's smelling the food, and the sales guys start walking in with the bottles of wine. And that is just, I know it's a cultural thing, but that is a business expense that they're allowed to expense off. And I'm not going to say other activities that were going on while people were drinking the wine. Nobody got drunk, but they were enjoying the wine. So that was one that we're sitting there, we're like, we're from corporate office and we're the internal auditors, and you're breaking out this wine. Like, do we even say anything? Like, that was, the conversations we had to have afterwards. So yeah, that was the strangest one I've experienced.
Very, very interesting. Now, Heather says, I was never allowed to expense anything that wasn't work trip related. And Heather, I owe you some documents. I'll get them to you tonight. It's been a really crazy time. Okay.
What
So
about you,
now,
bro?
I just said it. I was allowed to travel first class, man.
Yeah.
That was a really, and I remember I was young in my career too, and I had never flown first class before, and I was like, "Whoa, I could get used to this."
So that was back when it was like $250 for first class.
Right. Little did I know I would never ever fly first class again. No, I'm just kidding. Well, kinda.
Not on someone else's dime.
Okay. You know what? You know what though? Today, I'm not going to linger a whole lot before getting into the story because this one has more twists and turns than a game of Twister. It is just look. Y'all, you're not gonna believe this one. So let's just start at the top. I want you to meet Brian Thor, if I'm saying his name right. He's a former football player. He's also a Cal Berkeley offensive tackle. So he went to Cal Berkeley, got his degree. He was an NFL draft pick. He eventually became president of Taylor Farms in Tennessee. Now, if you don't know who Taylor Farms is, remember a few weeks ago the Taco Bell scandal where they were saying that some of the lettuce and food and stuff was causing some not so comfortable things with people? Well, we've been able to determine that a lot of that was probably sourced from Taylor Farms. So, talk about a crappy situation.
I was going to say one of the articles I read, the title was S Storm.
There you go. I almost said it here, but you never know how Linky is going to behave, especially
Yeah.
YouTube too. But get this though. Now, when he became the president at Taylor Farms, he wasn't the CFO, he wasn't in accounting, he was the president, a trusted executive. Now, that's important. That's important because let's talk about what he has allegedly done. And I say allegedly because the complaint now is not even a criminal complaint. It's a civil complaint where his former company is suing him
Mhm.
and a business, another business. Okay. So, with that said, everything we talk about today is going to be an allegation not based on a criminal charge, but based on a civil complaint.
Now, but the only reason why there's no criminal charge is because the federal government is still building their case, from
Oh,
what
for
I.
sure.
So just yeah, for those that are like, how is this just, especially once you hear everything, how is it just civil? It's just because we are very early in the process on this one.
Very early. I literally just found it and I was like, you know what? Sometimes I like to wait, but this one I said, no, we're not waiting.
No,
So
no, not this one.
the alleged fraud is Taylor Farms is saying that it lasted roughly 4 years and that, as we know of right now, allegedly exceeded $32 million. 32 million.
You would
Okay,
think someone would notice that.
right. That's what I was thinking. So let's peel back some of the layers. First layer is a false vendor. Actually, it wasn't even a false vendor. It was a vendor that had done approximately $300,000 to $400,000 worth of business for Taylor Farms, and then allegedly, what our guy did was use that very same vendor to do work on his home as a contractor.
Yeah, and sometimes VPs or either presidents or vice presidents, an invoice comes across their desk, and we all expect them to do the approval process. But that's one that that's where that segregation of duties comes into play, right? How does someone know that those services were provided, other than, and if it's a construction person, contractor, it shouldn't be going across the president's desk anyway. It should be going across some kind of a supply chain or purchasing department's desk first. Wouldn't you think?
That's what I would think.
But that's all he
So,
did, right? Just a few fake invoices.
yeah, yeah. I mean, and think about it. Since they were already an approved vendor, he just got them to
Yep.
work for him.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to run through these fairly quickly and then go back to them and add some more details. So that's one of the first ones. The second one, payroll. Now, this one is incredible.
Yep.
According to the complaint, his wife, his mother in law, his sister in law, a personal chef, a personal trainer, a driver, a handyman, and an aquarium maintenance attendant.
He had the
Well,
pool boy on salary.
there you go. Were all put on payroll and paid through the company.
We talk a lot about internal controls on this podcast, but collusion is hard. And I know this is an employee collusion, but it's hard to catch whenever multiple people are involved. So you're talking about multiple, what was that, about 5 different people? Wife, mother-in-law, sister-in-law, personal chef, personal driver, handyman, personal trainer, and the pool boy. So 8 different people were fraudulently on payroll that they're aware of right now, allegedly. So that's 8 people that were involved in this fraud just on the payroll side. And then that contractor for the housework, which I assume the contractor knew who he was getting paid from. So that's 9 different people that are complicit in this already.
Yeah, yeah. And let's just take a step back. So this dude was president there. Like, his title was president, not vice president, not assistant vice president. Presumably he was already making a nice sum of money, right?
If he can steal over $30 million allegedly, then yeah, he has to be making a pretty penny running a company like that.
Yeah. Okay. So now let's go to the next one. The next one was expense reimbursement. So according to Taylor Farms, more than $6.5 million in alleged improper reimbursements occurred. So he got expense reimbursements that he should not have gotten, to the tune of about $6.5 million. And so my question becomes, what kind of documentation was he required to give them? And then who was responsible for approving them, right?
Yeah. That's what I was thinking too. Like who in the AP department is not complicit with this as well? And were they getting any kickbacks from that?
Yeah. Okay. So now the next one. He had quite a few properties, right? He bought one property in Hawaii, but that's not what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about construction. Allegedly, he spent millions in improving personal properties, including one one piece of shipping construction equipment that happened in another state. And I'm just thinking, who approved the invoices? Who coded them? Who inspected the work? Wait till we get to that. You guys are going to be surprised by the actual process. And I don't know if you read that part, but
I didn't catch that one.
Oh,
there's
man.
so much on this one.
Yeah.
The part that got me is the one that you actually said that we weren't going to talk about. That was the home in Hawaii.
Well, I said we weren't going to talk about it yet.
Okay. All right. I won't jump ahead.
Because that was a nice, expensive home, man.
And the excuse for it as well is what caught my eye. But go
I
ahead.
think I may have missed the excuse for it.
Oh,
okay.
All right.
Okay, we'll get there. Okay. Oh, wow. Okay. So now let's talk about company credit cards, because this is where it gets fun. Apparently, there was a golf cart. Wait a minute. The house in Hawaii, didn't it go on the credit card?
I don't know. I don't think so. It just said that they allegedly used the company money. I didn't see that they put it on it. I don't think you can do a credit $5.5 million house on a credit card, can you?
Yeah, I don't think so either. So they either made home improvements using the company credit card to the house in Hawaii or something like that. That part I'm mixing up in my notes, but I know the company credit card, he spent quite a bit of money. Okay, next, this is the 6th thing. According to the lawsuit, what Thomas just said, approximately $5.5 million for a home in Hawaii, and then a 400-acre ranch that cost about $1.5 million, followed by several $1 million more in home improvements. So you got the house in Hawaii for $5.5 million, the $1.5 million ranch, along with millions of home improvements. Now, Thomas, what was the excuse for the home in Hawaii? I did not see that.
Okay, so I'll mention that in a second, but whoever got the deal for $1.5 million for a 400-acre ranch in California, I want that real estate agent. There's no way you can get 400 acres. Now in Texas, yes, we have so many extra acres, it's not even funny. But in California, how in the world did they get 400 acres for 1.5 million?
So Heather was saying the mother or the mother-in-law, the wife or the mother-in-law approved the payments. Now she's saying that with a black Amex, you probably could buy a house. You probably well with a black 4.5. Yeah, you probably could 4.5 million.
No.
Yeah.
So according to Bro Bible, which it was hilarious that different companies or different sites that have been picking this one up, but they actually have some great details on this article from Bro Bible of all places. But they said that allegedly the company, the couple used the company's money to buy the home in Hawaii for 5.5 million. Then his wife allegedly listed that amount as a donation to the Middle Tennessee Christian School for fundraising activities. So,
Wow.
so did they buy the home for 5.5 million and then just record it as a donation? Or did they buy the house and claim that Middle Tennessee Christian School could use it for fundraising activities? And if that second part is true, what in the world would Middle Tennessee Christian School be able to do fundraising activities in Hawaii for, right? It would cost them more money to get there than it would to actually do the fundraising. So something doesn't add up with that one.
Oh wow. I completely missed that one. Now let's go to number 7. I said he went to UC Berkeley. This one really gets me. He made a $1 million donation to an endowment fund to UC Berkeley, and it was called the Brian and Julie Thur Right Tackle Endowment. Now, remember, he played right tackle, so you know.
And that's one that I almost worry about, and not worry about as far as like the money, but is there one or more students at UC Berkeley that all of a sudden they're not going to have funds for college that they were promised?
Yep.
Especially having my son is going into a senior year of high school. All of a sudden he has these scholarships lined up and found out that, one of them's disappeared because of fraud. That would suck.
Yep. That would 100% suck big time. And then too, so the interesting thing about the endowment is when you have an endowment in your university, you make long-term plans based on that. And $1 million is a lot of money. So to your point, there were probably several students. I don't know how they earmarked it. Like he may have only earmarked it for athletes or something like that. So there are some poor students whose scholarships are probably going to be taken away.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's sad. Okay.
And everything that I've seen is that the school has completely removed any kind of information about that endowment. They're not answering any questions about that endowment. Like they've practically made it seem like it doesn't exist, which I can't blame the school for.
Yeah. Okay. So let's go back and fill in some of the details now, because that's a majority of the things that happen. So
give us a quick recap. Give us that list again.
Well, let's go back. So that company that I told you about, the construction company. Mm-hmm. So the complaint says that it wasn't a fake company. They actually performed about $400,000 of legitimate kitchen remodel work for the organization. And so the invoices only became fraudulent after they actually did legitimate work. So it's also alleged that he colluded with that company in order to make those fraudulent invoices happen. So you got the collusion there. It's hard to implement strong internal controls when there is collusion with other people, right?
Yeah, that would be a difficult one. Well, it would be difficult to go after that construction company, but I would still think that, somebody, this is where someone familiar with the expense, they might not have approval authority as far as the dollars go, but someone should be signing off on an invoice saying, yes, this work actually happened.
Yeah, and here's what they're saying is how it was done. They're saying that the company, the construction company, would hand deliver the invoices. There were actually no purchase orders. They would bypass the maintenance department inside the organization, and they would verbally tell them how to code the invoices so that they wouldn't show up in certain general ledgers. And then they demanded payment immediately upon hand delivering the invoices with no documentation.
Yeah. How many red flags are there on that one? About 50?
Right? Now, when they talk to employees and ask the employees why they process those invoices with all the red flags, they said that, and this is a quote directly from the complaint that was filed. They believed that Mr. Thur would fire them if they refused.
So where's that hotline number?
Yeah.
Well, I had a call with a client just recently, and I asked this person. I said, hey, what's the status? That we're implementing controls. I said, okay, what's the status of your hotline? And the response was, I think we have one in place. I'm not real sure. I need to look into it. I go, well, if you don't know, then it's not in place. If employees are not aware of it, it's there's no point in even having it. So it sounds like this company that doesn't have one, or they were so afraid to use it that they would get fired for even attempting to report anything.
That's the big part, because think about this. This was a small town in Tennessee, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that job is probably one of the top 10 largest employers in that town. And so people are afraid to speak up because if they lose their job, what else are you going to do? Yeah.
I had a client like that in Tyler, Texas. If anybody doesn't know where Tyler, Texas is, it's the middle of nowhere, Texas. And I had a controller who was doing a great job, no fraud or anything like that, but she kept on taking more and more work because she was worried, if she loses her job, there's nowhere else to go in Tyler, Texas. Yeah, you're probably right. It's probably the exact same type of situation.
Yeah. You see it all the time. Now, let's talk about some of the expenses that he incurred, because this one is gold here. The complaint alleges that most invoices were between 35,000 and 45,000 because invoices above 50,000 received additional oversight, and he knew that, so he purposely kept them below the $50,000 limit.
Yeah.
Now, isn't that crazy?
That's classic. Yep. Yeah, and that's why we say, we get in the habit. Obviously, I live more in the publicly traded world, the SOX world, and so it's so easy to get focused on SOX and nothing else. But one of the most simple audits to do are expense reports audits, but then also audits of P cards and just purchase orders that are right below that approval level. That's such a red flag.
Oh, but even that kind of review may not have gotten caught with this one. Remember, we said earlier that he had family on the payroll, his wife, his mother-in-law, his sister-in-law, the pool boy, the fry guy, anybody who, no, I'm just kidding about the fry guy. But okay. So check this out. The complaint also states that not only were his family members added to the payroll, but allegedly he removed them from compensation reports that he had to send to corporate. He also issued off-cycle bonuses so they didn't show up in the bonus reports that were going to corporate. And also he hid them from the executive review. So any kind of reports that went to executives, he was able to strip data off of these reports that are designed to help monitor activity. How did he have the authority to do all of these things?
Yeah, that's clearly you're relying on one person for all of this. And HR is either complacent or incompetent, allegedly.
Right. Now, Bob says, come on, Tyler's not Houston, but it's not Garden Valley either. And Nada says, Happy Friday, happy Friday, Nada.
Hey, not
Hope
it.
all is well.
Yeah.
We haven't talked in a while. We need to catch up.
Bob,
Um,
you're right, but in whenever you're working for a company in Tyler, you're worried that there are no jobs. That was the experience I had with this one woman that I worked with. So, but you're right. You're right. Tyler's bigger than what what some places are.
now get this, get this. Even though the employees were afraid, they still did certain things to try and identify the fraudulent transactions. According to the complaint, they created little codes to help them go back and identify the potentially fraudulent transactions. For example, he purchased a home in Winchester. It was a lake house, and they would do things like code it with a W initial so that they could recognize, hey, this one is probably a bad one. So it sounds like they knew what was happening. They continued to go along with it for fear of their jobs, but they created a paper trail so that whenever it was caught, they could go back and identify the transactions that were allegedly fraudulent.
On one hand, you want to applaud them. On the other hand, it took 4 years for this to be uncovered. I also wonder what the turnover rate was at the company during that time. You know, because when you're involved in something like that, even if you're not doing it, if you're not speaking up, your stress levels, your anxiety is shooting up because of it, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, here's the thing. You got to think small town, they probably did not turn over. They just stayed at work stressed. I'll give you an example. I um I worked in a fairly small town at one point, and I was doing a lot of investigations, and people were bringing things to me, and my job was to act on the information that I had. And so
Mhm.
sometimes I would ask individuals, "Will you come with me to talk to law enforcement?" And I'll never forget this. One woman looked at me and she said, "I've given you all I need. I am not going to help you any further." And I
Yeah.
said, "Okay, I can respect that. Can you just tell me why, though?" The answer, to be honest, the answer pissed me off. Um, she said that she has a pension and she has grandkids, and she simply wants to retire and spend time with her grandkids. Never mind the alleged illegal activities that were occurring, right?
Yeah.
So um, I do think people will, the self preservation will kick in and people will save themselves most times.
Yeah, I agree. We like to say that we would be um, the alternative there. We like to say that we're the ones that would do the right thing and risk losing our job. And I mean, how many whistleblowers have we seen over our careers that have been drugged through the mud, couldn't find another job, ended up writing a book and doing speaking because they literally couldn't make any other money?
That would be 95% of them.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
mean,
let's be real with it, right? So I mean, it's not it's definitely a legitimate concern, but it still sucks as an auditor that we know that there's fraud out there that's not being reported because of this.
yeah. Now, Bob says, what kind of degree did this guy have? He seems awfully cunning. If you think everything we've said thus far is cunning, check this out. So, we've been talking about why didn't people tell? Well, apparently, some people, some other managers there found out and were about to tell. And you know what? Allegedly, the complaint alleges that he had company vendors perform work on other managers' homes too to keep them quiet. Now, that begs the question: when does a favor become a bribe? Because the complaint is also alleging that these were paid for by the company.
And again, like so many different. If I was the owner, if I was the CEO of this company, I would be seriously looking at not who do I fire, but who do I keep? Who can I trust?
Yeah, yeah. Because if you think about it, the president of the company allegedly is committing all this fraud. He's got everyone complicit because they're afraid to lose their jobs, or complicit because he has allegedly given them bribes.
Yeah,
So, to your
yeah,
point, yeah, who do you keep?
yeah. Oh, and I just looked it up. The office apparently, if this very quick search is correct, this was in Smyrna, Tennessee, which is only about 20 miles north of or southeast of Nashville. So, you know, there's other jobs, there's other opportunities. Nashville's not exactly small. So, yeah, the fear of losing a job and not being able to find another one is smoke.
Yeah, but who wants to drive into Nashville? Have you ever driven in Nashville traffic? It is the absolute worst.
I live in
Oh,
Houston.
no, no, it's worse. It is worse. Trust me. Oh, I used to have to drive up there quarterly for um, um, Association of Healthcare Internal Auditors meetings, and oh god, if I didn't leave at a certain time, I would just have to spend the night and leave the next day. I've never seen anything like it. It is dreadful.
You see what most of the people watching and listening don't realize is you only drive about 200 miles a year right now anyway, so you can't compare apples to apples here. You don't drive in Houston because you know how bad the traffic is.
But I can
moving
still
on,
give a
moving on.
gauge. But I can still give a gauge on the traffic, though. That is correct, though. I do not drive. Okay, well, now, wait. It gets even worse.
It
So now,
does.
you know that companies will monitor your activity based on your internet connection. He had a separate, allegedly had a separate internet connection installed. So the complaint alleged that it was installed specifically to avoid corporate monitoring and audit trails, that are created when you're committing fraud. So he had separate internet connection installed that the corporate IT couldn't see, monitor, or access.
Now, how did he pull that off? Out of all the stuff that he's done, that is the one, because if you're getting your own specific internet connection that's completely outside of everything in the company, yeah, I mean, unless you're getting one of those, I use T-Mobile, so I'm not talking about T-Mobile here, but I know T-Mobile has a special device that you can buy and have a hotspot, like in spot. So maybe it's something like that, but other than that, I don't get it.
Okay. So wait. So Bob, Nada, Heather, how do you think they caught this guy? How do you think they caught him? Bob is like, I'm not listening anymore. But- so Thomas, I think you know how they caught him.
Mhm.
But you know, it's weird because even when you discuss how they caught him, it's really not how they caught him if you think about it. Because if you think about it, the employees actually caught him first.
The employees caught him, but they didn't report him.
Right.
I mean, the employees who are allegedly complicit in this, whether it's coding something or just not saying something, I mean, they're part of it, in my opinion. And I know that's easy to say from the outside. Don't get me wrong, but they were not helpful in getting this caught. Yeah, and it's sad that actually nothing within the company is what caught it.
Yep. Crazy. Uh-oh. Okay. So Heather says a family member. Heather, you think a family member that was on the payroll would have ratted him out? Because let's just be frank. If it was a family member that wasn't on the payroll, he probably would have just put them on the payroll. Because this if all the allegations are true, this is brazen. Like, this is absolutely crazy.
But this is another one of those, like, what is your end game, right? All of the stuff that they have going on, so many people complicit. the only way, if this is all true, the only like result is going to be jail, long-term prison, right? I mean, there's no other alternatives with this.
Yeah. Bob says somebody didn't get paid.
That's kind of right.
If only that were true too, Bob, right? Like somebody said, screw this. I didn't get paid. I'm going to turn everybody in and strike a deal and get me some immunity and I'll do the right thing because my conscience is hit or something. No. So, okay. This is where it gets really interesting.
Well, I mean, he's kind of right. There is somebody that didn't get paid, and so
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Okay. The fraud was not discovered because of a fraud investigation. Um, it started because they were being audited, just a basic audit. Well, maybe not basic, but the IRS asked for 1099s during the audit. That's it. So Taylor Farms began gathering the 1099s to give to the IRS, people that they've paid money to. And someone noticed MTS, that construction company. And so they started asking questions, and everything just unraveled from there. And I think the complaint didn't spell it out, but here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking as they were gathering the 1099s, they saw that they had only paid like $400,000 to this MTS company based on the 1099s because that was legitimate business. But they remembered, hey, we've been paying them millions. And that's what I'm guessing started the unraveling of all of this. Heather says families have been known to turn on each other. Yeah.
Now, another part about MTS, there's questions whether or not they were actually a legitimate contractor and was a registered company to do business.
Yeah, and I found in the complaint where it says they actually were a business that had done about 400,000 in legitimate work for the company, and he just converted them. But yeah, there were questions: are they a legitimate business? But everything that I'm seeing is saying that they most likely were, and they did legitimate work at one point in time. So I don't know. Jury's still out on that, though. Really, huh?
Well, they will be soon. Now, when it comes to the lawsuit, the civil case, did you pick up on the part of why they think they're going to get a conviction here? Did you get that part?
No. What happened?
So allegedly, he confessed to the fraud scheme on April 8th in a voicemail to the company's CEO and in text messages to other colleagues.
Yeah. So I did get that. Sorry, I didn't know where you were going with that.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've got a voicemail and you've got text messages, you've got the civil suit, the feds have their case open and shut. and now it's a question of how much did he confess to and how many others is he bringing with him?
Yeah. And they're saying that in the voicemail, he apologized. And then in the text message, he admitted to it. I was trying to pull a quote because I think I found where there was some direct quotes, but darn it, I can't find it now. Because I actually found the complaint online. It's about 58 pages, I believe. Darn it. Oh, well.
Something tells me we're going to be hearing more and more about this case over the next 12 months.
Oh, you got that right.
But if they have a confession like that, then there's no way he's going to try to plead not guilty. I mean, if that part is true, then he'd be stupid to plead not guilty.
Dude, you'd be surprised though. He'll say the text messages were fake, the voicemail was AI.
His wife made him do
it. Oh boy, yeah, his wife made him do it. I mean, you'd be surprised.
I swear, Judge, I didn't want to pay my mother-in-law.
It was babysitting fees. She kept the kids. And Your Honor, if you've seen my kids, you'd understand why they cost that much to babysit. Oh man. Okay. I'm trying to let me get back to my notes now because I think that's it. Phew, that's
This was a
enough.
lot.
Yeah.
I mean, this is one of those that, like, every time I kept reading through the article, it's like, and there's more, and there's more, and there's more. But wait, there's even more. Yeah.
But think about it though. This, in all seriousness, this was a colossal failure in internal control. Okay, Bob, Bob, it wasn't me in the Shaggy
Classic,
voice.
classic song.
That was, but but anything that could have gone wrong really happened in this one. He had a separate internet connection to monitor the IT. He colluded with a vendor to do allegedly to do fake invoices. He did expenses below the limit that would flag extra scrutiny. He removed people from a payroll monitoring and bonus report so that they couldn't be seen. How did he have access to do all of this? Well, the complaint is saying that, and I said this earlier, several people said that they were afraid that they were going to be fired. That's why they did it. And then allegedly, he bribed some managers by having a lot of work done on their homes through that contractor. So he used fear, intimidation, and bribery in order to keep the thing going.
And everybody said yes, please.
Yeah. But you know what? Again, I do get that it's a small town outside of Nashville, but I promise you, I've had that experience. I've had multiple people. I want to keep my pension, so I'll give you this information, but I can't go with you. I can't be a witness. And I'm like, what the really? Your soul is for sale for that cheap, really? That's what we're doing here. Okay. So
And I'll admit it's a lot easier for me from the outside saying all of this, right? If I'm in that situation, if I'm worried about, whatever, whether it's bribe, blackmail, whatever, you don't know how you're going to act until you're in those kind of situations.
heck, I was
So,
in that situation and I did the right thing.
yep,
It came at
you
a
have
cost,
been.
but I
Thankfully,
still
I
did the
haven't been
right
in that
thing.
yet. So, um, but yeah, that just sucks all the way around. I couldn't imagine being the CEO of a company, and here you are trying to cover PR for, did your company cause all these health issues, and then turn around and find out that your entire company is sick on a different scale.
Yeah, yeah. But I
That,
think you made a really good point, though. I mean, at this point, you clean house if you can. Um, do
yeah,
whatever, outsource a lot of those activities until you can find people because that thing is rotten at the core. Like the core of this thing is rotten.
yeah. How can I trust any financial number coming in? How could I trust any dollar going out?
Yeah. Well, and then too, okay, to your other point, we don't know if the um, food illnesses are directly traced back to them. I think everybody's saying most likely yes, but it does beg the question: are these related too? Because we know the culture on the administration and finance side. Could that have bled through to the actual product side to where it tainted the product?
You know, yeah. If the
So
entire organization, if the culture of the organization is to cut corners and to look the other way.
yeah, and I did a little bit of research on the CEO, not a whole lot, but a little bit. And for all practical purposes, they're saying he's a decent person. So now imagine if you actually are a decent person and you're facing all of this. So yeah, you make a really good point. It's just bad for everyone all the way around.
Yeah. And then from a legal HR perspective, if you fire some and you don't fire others, all of a sudden it's, you have lawsuits that you're facing there. So it almost has to be an all or nothing type of thing, other than those that are very obviously complicit, in it. But
Yep.
the ones that are in that, I'll call it a gray area, you either keep them all or you fire them all,
Yeah, yeah.
and you're still going to go through lawsuits either way. I think.
Yep. So yeah,
Ugh.
so all right, guys, that's all we got for you today on this one. Hopefully, this one, I think this is one of the more interesting ones that we've had in a while because of the intricacies. There was so much here. As soon as I read it, I said, "Yeah, this is it." I had another good one, and then this one popped up, and I was like, "Yeah, this is it." Christine is gonna be mad that she missed this episode because, man,
Yeah, she is. Yep, this
oh
was a good one. This was a good pick.
yeah. So, all right, anything else? Did I miss anything on this one?
So many details, but I think you got it all. The main thing or not the main thing, but one of those big ones that I noticed was using that, having the house out in Hawaii and claiming that it was for fundraising activities for a school in Middle Tennessee. That one threw me.
I don't know how I missed that part about the school in Middle Tennessee. I saw the house, but I completely missed that part. Well, all right, guys.
Details.
Thank you for joining us this week on the Friday Froster. I guess we'll see you next week.
Have a great weekend.